Hey y'all, it's me, your girl, the glow up is y'all. Listen, it is episode 33, and I'm excited because listen, me being consistent, listen, I'm so thankful that I have been consistent. That is literally growth, y'all. Listen, I don't know about y'all, but sometimes I get distracted in different things, but God has really blessed me where I can really be consistent. I've really been intentional with this podcast because God gave it to me. And so the thing is, right, is that when God has put something inside of you to do, it's only right and only fitting that you do what it is that He's called you to do, right? And so I thank y'all for streaming, for getting on here with me to watch, right? And to also encourage. And this is what we do, right? At the Glow Up is we grow to glow. And y'all, I don't know about y'all. I don't know about y'all. Y'all glowing today because listen, I'm glowing today, and I'm excited about this word on today, y'all. Listen, God has been really doing a new thing in me. And it doesn't matter about the yesterdays or the days before that, right? I'm better than where I used to be. I'm thankful to be able to be here today. I'm thankful and grateful, man, just to be able to breathe. Some people ain't even breathing on their own. I'm just thankful for the air that He gives me, right? The oxygen that He gives me, man. So, y'all, listen. So, if you look at the title of this episode, episode 33, you see that we talking about the looks. This ain't what it is, right? Everything that look good ain't good. Listen, so I'm excited about it. So I wanted to talk to y'all a little bit about everything that look good ain't good for you. Just because it look good, it ain't good for you, right? And so that's what we're gonna be talking about tonight. But I wanted to get into a little bit of scripture. Y'all know sometimes I gotta just drop the scripture in there, right? Because we know we be talking and everything, but we gotta grow. We gotta grow spiritually, right? In order for us to get this thing going, we gotta hold each other accountable. And this is what we do right here at the Glow Up is we grow to glow. So I'm going to be coming out of Matthew chapter 21. And this was in my spirit this week, y'all. This was in my spirit. So I got to share it with y'all. I'm excited about it. Verse 18 and through verse 22. So it says, and this is actually the NIV. This is the NIV version. Early in the morning, as Jesus was on his way back to the city, he was hungry. Seeing a fig tree by the road, he went up to it, but found nothing on it except leaves. Then he said to it, "May you never bear fruit again." Immediately the tree withered. When the disciples saw this, they were amazed. "How did the fig tree wither so quickly?" they asked. Jesus replied, "Truly I tell you, if you have faith and do not doubt, not only can you do what was done to the fig tree, but also you can say to this mountain, 'Go throw yourself into the sea,' and it will be done. If you believe, you will receive whatever you ask for in prayer." Y'all, that thing blessed me. Okay. When I tell y'all that thing hit me in my shanana, it hit me in my shanana, right? And I just thought, like, man, this fig tree is so significant, right? Like, it has to be important because he wouldn't have put it in there, right? And this was a parable back then. And so, even with this parable, I'm sitting here and I'm like, God, you talking to your disciples, and your disciples are so amazed by this fig tree, right? Because a lot of times what happens is that we get so caught up in what things look like. Ooh, we get so caught up in the things that look good because it look good and it feel good, right? A lot of times that's what attracts us to it, right? So I just thought that it was funny because Jesus had an appetite. He was hungry, right? And so he was like, "Well, look, I see this fig tree, right? I see this fig tree here and I'm hungry." But when he went on it, right, when he went up to it a little bit further, he didn't see nothing there. So, how many of us, y'all, right, done literally got caught up in some situations? We thought that this man looked good, this woman looked good, right? A big butt and a smile. Hello, I'm just saying, right? Or maybe you're a breast man, or maybe you like, you like what you like, woman, right? We want the tall, dark, and handsome, bald head, cornrows, right? We want the DMX, but we want him to go to church. We want all of these different things, right? Do y'all hear me? Did y'all hear what I just said? So we want the DMX and we want all of these things, right? But a lot of times what happens is things look good, but are they really good for us? And that's where the deception comes in, right? Is because what happens is that we're looking at the outer appearance, but we don't know what's on the inside. We don't even know whether or not if they are even bearing fruit, right? Because the reality is that they should be bearing fruit. But if you're not bearing fruit, right, and you're just going off of what you see, then you can literally be deceived. But it took for Jesus to get a little bit closer to the tree, right, in order for him to realize that, you know what, I can't eat from this. I can't even eat from this. I can't eat from this tree because there's nothing that's there. And because nothing is there, then I might as well just curse it because there's no point of it being here, right? It's no point of it taking up air, taking up space, because at this point, right, it's useless. This fig tree is useless. It's not bearing fruit, right? But it looks good. It looks good, but the looks can be deceiving. Oh my God. Yes, sis. I used to be caught up in nice hair. Next thing you know, a man came along with cancer, no hair. God is fun. Oh my gosh, girl, God is too funny. He's hilarious because I said the same thing, right? And it's crazy because a lot of times we can tell God what it is that we want, and He will give us exactly what we need, though, right? I truly believe, though, right, even in those things, right, that we want and those things that we desire, God will still grant those things to us. He will still grant those things to us, right? Because sometimes things take time, right? That hair will grow back. And that hair be nice, sis. The thing will look good to you. But anyway, y'all, listen. I was just like, wow. I was like, why was I so fascinated with this fig tree and this story this week? Because I think that sometimes we get so caught up in the way that things look, right? That we're not trying to see what God is trying to show us and what's really been there the whole time. But because we don't take the time to get to know people, right? We just jump in. And sometimes when we jump in, right, here comes the deception. And we look at it and we're like, man, I thought that this was what it was. And because you didn't take the time to really ask the questions that you needed to, right? Or you actually take the guide, which is supposed to be the Bible, which is supposed to be the word, right? Because God is showing you, right, what love is. And if we don't see the qualities or the efforts of what love is, we know that this can't be a person that I can even really associate myself with, because first and foremost, they're not even qualified to even talk to me. They look good, right? But they don't even have what it takes to be able to speak to my spirit. They don't have what it takes, right, to weather the storm with me. They don't have what it takes, okay, to love me even in spite of myself, right? Because they don't even recognize, or neither do they even realize what love is. This is exactly what the fig tree did to Jesus. Jesus was hungry. And he said, well, hey, this is a fig tree. Let me go on over here and get something and let me grab something to eat. But there was nothing that was there. It appeared to be, right, from a distance, it looked good. But when he got close up on that thing, okay, y'all, listen, I'm telling you, when you get up close on that thing, something won't right. He got to see that, wait a minute, it's nothing here but leaves. Y'all, how many people how many people done came in your life, okay? And you was like, man, they got it going on, and you feel like this is the person that you're supposed to be with. Listen, because listen, I'd have been there. I already know what time it is. I'd have been there. I done had a falsified and the been deceived tree before. You see what I'm saying? That thing look good, smell good, talk good, all of that, right? But then when I got down to it, right, into the meat, into the core, right, and getting to know who they were, what they were doing, and how they operate, they didn't necessarily have the same values as I did. And some people, it's crazy, right? People will say whatever they got to say in order to keep you going, to keep stringing you along because they feel like they can change you. Listen, I'd have been there too. Yeah, I was that person. Yeah, let me fix you. Let me see whether or not if I can get this done, Let me see whether or not if I could just help him to see him the way that I see him. No, you can't make him see you. You can't make him see you, and you can't see him the way that you can perceive him to be one way. But what is it really? And I think sometimes we get so blinded by what it is that we see, it keeps us there, or what it is that they do. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, honey. Because guess what? It's a real thing. Some of us, and I mean, I ain't ashamed to say I didn't wait till I got married, right? I didn't wait until I got married. And so for me, at the end of the day, I know what it's like to have somebody that sexually please me. You get what I'm saying? And so I hung in there, right? Because I was sexually satisfied, right? And so sometimes, right, in this life, we look at it and I saw the tree and I felt the tree and I did a whole lot of things with the tree that I should not have done. You get what I'm saying? Because the reality is that I began to allow a transfer of energy to be able to come inside of me, right? A transfer of energy. I don't know who this man done had before me, right? But he's taken on all of those energies and he's now inserted that into me. And now I'm sitting up here trying to figure out why I'm losing my mind and why I'm going crazy. All because I didn't wait until I was supposed to, right? And this wasn't the right person that was really for me. And sometimes, y'all, we can get so blinded by the things that we want, right? The things because we're like, man, I'm satisfied. Ain't nobody gonna be able to satisfy me in that way. But do you really trust God? But then in the reality, right, the older you get, the more you realize, you know what, it ain't even about that at this point, right? It's some things that's more important to me than just this. You get what I'm saying? And this is what I'm talking about as far as growth is concerned, right? Because you got people out here that's just like, dang, I don't know, Toya. I want me a mandingo. And I don't know about y'all. I don't know if y'all know what that slang is, right? That means that you want a man with a long penis, right? And so you want that man to be able to do what he does. And you want that woman to be able to please you, right? But at the end of the day, even though we may want these things, right? We still have to do things in alignment. We still have to make sure that we're doing them. We can't do things out of order. How in the world we expect God to bless anything when we're doing things out of order? We're not even paying attention to what it is that he even wants us to do. Do you know the enemy can dress things up, make it look good? The same way he got this big tree up here, he can make that woman look good to you, sound good, and make it look good all on paper, honey. But then when you actually begin to get to know who they are, you find out, man, this ain't it. This right here, this is a leech. This ain't even helping me. This is hurting me more than than helping me. It's hurting me. And God got so mad at the thing because at the end of the day, when you go to your tree, honey, you should be able to eat. Did you hear what I just said? When you go to this tree, right, you should be able to eat. And I ain't talking about just physically, right? I'm talking about spiritually. Is this person pouring into you? Is this person showing you who God is? Is this person beginning to love on you the way that Christ really loves the church? And this goes for men too. Is this woman loving you exactly the way that God has called you to love them? Y'all, listen. Oh my gosh. It's crazy because we're hungry, right? We're hungry. And sometimes these things, right? And this is what I'm talking about, y'all. When I tell you, boy, this thing hit me like a ton of bricks this week, y'all, with this fig tree. Because I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, Jesus was hungry. He wanted some food. He wanted to eat something. And so he was very deceived that he was thinking that I'm at this fig tree. Let me go ahead on and get me something to eat. But it was nothing that was there. All he saw was leaves. Some of y'all with these trees and all they got is leaves. They can't offer you nothing. They can't do nothing for you. And some of y'all have been fig trees and they had figs on the tree, and some of them took all the figs off the tree, and yet you still saying it's okay, it's all right, because you've been doing it for so long. You done got accustomed to becoming the fig tree with no leaves. Do you know what Jesus did to the fig tree? He cursed it. He cursed it because he said, you know what? It's not even being productive. It's not even being fruitful. So let me go ahead on and curse this fig tree. I just thought that was crazy how that happened, right? So then when the disciples saw this, they were amazed. How did the fig tree wither so quickly? They asked. Jesus replied, truly, I tell you, if you have faith and do not doubt, not only can you do what was done to the fig tree, but also you can say to this mountain, go throw yourself into the sea, and it will be done. And if you believe, you will receive whatever you ask for in prayer. Jesus just gave them the antidote. He told them, listen, you got power too. You amazed by what I just did with the fig tree. I cursed it. You can curse it too. So guess what? You got the right to walk away from that tree. You have the right because it's not serving you. There's no substance that's there, sis. There's no substance that's there, brother. It's nothing there. So how in the world can you expect anything from out of here? You expecting all of this. You expecting love. You expecting dinner. Let's make it physical for a moment, right? You expecting to be sexually satisfied, right? And you're not sexually satisfied. Maybe you may not even be getting it when you thought that you should be getting it, right? I'm just saying. It's like we desire all of these things, and the enemy can really begin to trick us and deceive us and make us feel like this is what we need. And when God is trying to show you is that, baby, it's not about what it looks like. I need for you to internally try and figure out exactly what it is and who this person is, right? Because I didn't choose this person for you. I allowed them to cross paths with you, but you chose them. And the only way that you're supposed to be choosing people, right, and even to even know the tree, right, is by the fruit that it bears. But if it's not bearing what love is, y'all, and some of us need to go back to 1 Corinthians 13, because I think a lot of us that got lost up in this word of love, of what the world thinks that love is, which is really lust. We'd have got so caught up in that. Now, am I saying that God won't grant you the desires of your heart? Absolutely, they will. But the more that you delight yourself in God, the more that He brings to you what those desires really are. The more that He begins to show you who you are. And He begins to show you, listen, you ain't no backing down from this thing. Y'all, listen. Anytime that the daggone fig tree can begin to deceive Jesus, almost got him until he went over there and looked a bit closer. Some of us need to take second looks at the person that we done chose. Look at that tree. Look at that tree now. Look at that tree and trying to figure out whether or not if this is something that you need to be connected to or not. Some of us need to do some really serious evaluations. You done went out here and chose the wrong person. You done went out here and done made an executive decision because you felt like it looked good. That you done decided to put yourself through all of this. And this is what we do. This is what we do. Yes. Oh my gosh. Everybody is trees. Yes, sis. You got to look at these trees, sis. Yeah, you do. Because the reality is, right, is that it's not just in relationships with your significant other. It's relationship with your family members too. These people can be sucking you dry. They can appear to be one thing, honey, and it ain't. They can appear to be whoever. They can speak in tongues, all of these different things, honey, and wanting to pray for you and still bless you and cuss you out at the same time. You got people that's praying for you, but you also got people that's praying on you too. I'm just saying, you got to know the fruit. You got to know the people by the fruit that they bear. You got to know the tree. If you ain't got no fruit, I don't know about you, but I ain't trying to eat from everybody's tree. I ain't trying to eat from everybody's tree. Do you get what I'm saying? Some of us got some rotten things up on that tree. And they ain't even had they trying to fix you, but you they be fixing themselves. We all need the living water. If we don't have the living water, we cannot win. We won't have the victory. We cannot actually succeed and say, you know what, God, I'm going to be crazy enough to trust you. Y'all, listen, I know what it's like. I'm telling you. And I say all of this because, I was talking about the size, because people be like, the size don't matter. The size don't matter. I beg to differ a little bit, right? But to a certain extent. You get what I'm saying? That shouldn't be 100% of what you looking at for a person. It should never be that, right? But it should also be some substance that's there. Can this person emotionally take care of you? Does this person make you feel emotionally safe? Does this person even make you feel like you can be your authentic self? Do you have to feel like you have to look over your shoulder every time that you're around them, or that you have to walk on eggshells? That's how you know that this ain't the person for you. That person ain't even trying to do no internal work to even put fruit on that tree. They want to take the fruit off of your tree and put it on that tree, make it look good. Hello, make it look good, and ain't. I'm like, sweetie, listen, I'd have been in this game too long now. I ain't got time for you to be trying to take some of my fruit. You see what I'm saying? I done bought this fruit, so I got to keep going with this fruit. This thing got to be well grown. You see what I'm saying? I'm taking care of my soil. I'm taking care of the roots. Some of us, we got to do evaluation. I don't know about y'all, but I don't mind pruning. I don't mind pruning. Sometimes that thing hurt. Sometimes that thing don't feel good. But listen, I'm pruning because I got to. It's necessary for my growth. It's some things that I don't even like right now, y'all. I'm going to tell you what, God's still working with me with this cussing thing. Listen, I like to cuss. I like to cuss. I do. I like to cuss. But at the same time, I'm learning. God has been giving me substitutions with this thing of cussing, right? Like I've been using, I ain't gonna say God been giving it to me, but I decided that, I'm gonna substitute some of these words, right? But then I'm also like, let me extend some of my vocabulary. Maybe you cussing because you don't really know how to explain what you need to explain. Ouch. Y'all, that was an ouch and an aha moment for me. And I was like, God, help me with this because I want to grow, right? And so I'm thankful that he's taking it away little by little. I have pet peeves, y'all. Things that I don't care too much for. I hate repeating myself. I don't like it. I don't like to repeat myself over and over. You heard me the first time and I said what I said. But at the same time, right, I get more people that want to ask me the same questions over and over. So then what happens is that I get irritated, right? But God is helping me to learn patience, right? So I'm trying to learn. I'm learning to receive the tests and the trials. You see what I'm saying? Because it's in the test and the trials that I have to make sure that I pass the test, because if I don't pass the test gonna come again, and it may not come in the same form that it came in the first time, but it's gonna come back again. Child, God knows that he's working on me, sis. Yes, girl. The kids definitely gonna test my gangster. They gonna test me. Yeah, they're gonna test me, but I'm okay with it. You get what I'm saying? But I'm learning now. You see what I'm saying? That's why we gotta do this work now before these things arrive. We gotta show God that we can that he can trust us with the things that it is that he wants to give us. That's why we talked about being good stewards last week, y'all. We got to be good stewards with the gifts that God has given us. And I'm talking about people, relationships. We got to be mindful of these things: the joy, the peace, the fruit of the spirit that he's given us, the gentleness, the meekness, all of these things that God wants to do in our lives, but we have to be able to receive it. And if we can't receive it, how in the world do we expect to bear fruit? We can't bear fruit because we so busy out here paying attention to what everybody else is doing. And there we go again with that whole situation of looks. It ain't always about the looks. It's not. Because the reality is, right, is that sometimes when we look at things, and I think about even to Adam and Eve, right? And I think sometimes, like I sit there and I think about Adam and Eve in the garden, and how, it's like I see the apple, I want the apple. It started with a thought, right? You've seen it. And he was like, Dad, he did tell us to stay away from that tree. You ain't even supposed to eat from that tree. Okay, we can have everything except that apple. So why am I curious about that apple? Is it because God just said we can't eat from there? And a lot of times that's what we do, right? Because it just reminds me even of my parents, even my mom and my dad, right? When they say, "No, you can't have no cookies before before you eat." And I'm like, "But why?" I was one of those kids, y'all. I always asked my mama why. I always used to ask my mama, "But why? But why? But why?" Sometimes she'll just get irritated with me and just say, "All right, look, because I said so, that's why." And I had to learn, is that sometimes we don't need to ask questions. We don't need to be asking why. Sometimes it is not even for us to understand why. We just have to trust the one who is leading us, right? Which is God. God is leading us, and He's the one who's processing everything that it is that we're going through. We have to trust the process. We have to trust the one who's processing it because He's the one who's processing it. Okay. And that's why I said, man, like, tonight, this was such a blessing, y'all. Y'all don't even understand how this thing blessed me on tonight because I'm like, wow, God. I said, you always doing what you do, right? And you always showing up and showing out, even on my behalf and on our behalf, because the reality is, right, is that sometimes, y'all, we can get in our own way. We can mess up on some things, we can do some things, and you know, and sometimes things ain't what it appear to be. It ain't what it look like. That's what we titled this episode. It ain't what it looked like, y'all. And if Jesus can be deceived, we can. We surely can. But he had to do an internal thing. He had to go over there and actually see what was inside the tree. Like, I see the tree from afar, but let me go see this thing. Let me see this thing up close. Sometimes we got to get up close and personal with these people in our lives, and we got to get all up in their business. And if you got a person that's like, "No, I ain't even trying to share this with you or do this with you," that's already a red flag on the play. Like, relationships is supposed to be intimate. A relationship is supposed to be emotional. A relationship, you're supposed to be able to have emotional security. You're supposed to be able to feel like you can, that you can talk to this person about any and everything, right? You're supposed to be able to feel, you know what I'm saying? You are supposed to be able to feel. Did you hear what I said? You are supposed to be able to feel, but it doesn't come with the feelings first. It's your mind first and then your heart. Your mind and your heart have to be on the same page, but your heart can't just be out here just leading and walking and doing whatever it chooses to do because the heart is deceitful. We talked about that before. The heart is deceitful. Who can really know it? It's sick. The heart is deceitful. It will have you feeling all different types of ways, right? And sometimes people make up stories in their head to make themselves feel better. It's sad. It's really, really sad. And a lot of us ain't even doing the work. It ain't what it look like. Did y'all just hear what I said? It ain't what it look like. And who wants to be in a relationship with somebody that ain't trying to do their part? Who wants to be in a relationship with somebody when I can't even talk to you? Who wants to be in a relationship when you just take offense to everything that I say? Who wants to be in a relationship with somebody who's willing to just not listen at all, not even trying to hear you out, but already got their mind made up? Listen, who wants to be in a relationship with somebody who's easily angered? Who wants to be in a relationship with somebody who's already so independent that they can't even try to even become dependent? Hello, I'm just saying, I'll say that again. Who wants to be in a relationship with someone who's so independent that they can't even try to become dependent? Listen, you're supposed to be able to depend on your partner. That's why it's called a partnership. I don't know who in the world have told us as independent women that it's y'all got to be independent. You got to be able to do this. You got to be able to do this. Yes, God deals with us individually. Absolutely, He does. And if you want to be single, be single. Be single. Be single. If you want to live single and you want to care about yourself, be single. Stop out here betraying to be something that you're not. Stop out here, stop being that big tree that Jesus cursed. Stop trying to put on. Yep, I'm talking to you. Yep, I'm talking to you. Because the thing is that we putting on. Who we putting on for? Social media? Who we putting on for? Why? When God sees it, God knows your heart. He knows you inside out. Why you think He went up close to that big tree? He went up close and personal because he had to see it. He like, wait a minute, maybe the looks is very deceiving, and I'm hungry, but you ain't got nothing for me to eat. You can't feed me. Honey, if you can't even feed yourself, what makes you think that you can feed me or feed us? There is no us. There is no future in us. Y'all, this thing is real. Like, you cannot be from God. It's no way. Because I'm supposed to be able to see the fruit that you bear. But you ain't bearing nothing. Everything that you got over there stink. Is riding is spoiled. Because all you thinking about is yourself. And how selfish are we? Listen, I know what that's like. I was selfish before in a relationship. I know what that's like. You see what I'm saying? But I desire a relationship, right? And so because I desire a relationship, that means that I have to make sure that I begin to do some internal work with myself. A lot of us, man, we in relationships because it's popular. Because we feel like, oh, I don't want to be by myself. Oh, because I just want to have somebody to just nitpick with every once in a while. But yet we still so independent. Listen, it's nothing wrong with you wanting to be an independent woman. And I say this because, I'm an independent woman. It's nothing wrong with that. But I ain't trying to be independent all my life and not have somebody not to be able to depend on. I know I can depend on God, yes, but I desire to be married too. You see what I'm saying? I got to be real with myself, and you got to be real with yourself. Do you want to be by yourself for the rest of your life? It's real. Because it's crazy, because what happens is that we begin to show God that we need to be by ourselves. Some of us jump in relationship after relationship after relationship and don't even take the time to heal. We don't even take the time to even love on ourselves, to even be able to receive God's love, to be able to give that to somebody else and share that with somebody else. But we know how to dress it up, though. We know how to put them jeans on or them leggings on or them J's on and get a fresh haircut, get a fresh twist out, get a new quick weave, sew in, box braids, long hair, don't care, all the way down to the butt, past the butt, to the thighs. We know how to do all of that. We know how to dress it up and make it look good. And that's when Jesus was like, listen, I done got deceived by this tree. Just because it look good, it ain't good for you. And sometimes we're trying to make things good for us because we done acquired the taste. How you acquire the taste that's something that you weren't even supposed to acquire? You done adjusted yourself. You done got rid of all of the morals that you stand for, all of the values that you stand for, which is God. You done went against the whole grain because of something that you saw. You thought it was a whole entree cooked meal. You thought it was a whole meal over there. And it won't even a snack. Some of us done got. You see what I'm saying? Some of us done got. Because we thought that this was what it was. But then when we got up close and personal with this thing, and some of us don't even get close and personal with a person, until we so years in. And then we like, dang, that. And then we seen the red flags. We seen it. We seen that there was no leaves on the tree, but we trying to put stuff on the tree ourselves, y'all. Who does that? Who does that? Trees are so precious. And when we talk about the trees, man, we talk about the trees of knowledge. We talk about the tree of knowledge. We talk about the tree of life. You know what I'm saying? And then to this fig tree, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, God, wow. And then the disciples got a nerve to say, well, darn, okay, well, we see what you did with that. That's amazing. And Jesus sitting there looking at them like, what you mean? Y'all can do the same thing too. You got the same power. You can do it too. Some of us, our power is to walk away. Some of us, our power literally is to walk away, because guess what? Everybody is not willing to grow with you. Everybody is not qualified, right, to be on this journey with you. There's a partner that's designed for you, that's waiting on you to meet them. And you messing around with this old fig tree that's been cursed by God because there's no fruit on it. because it looked good. Everything that looked good ain't good for you. Period. People been saying this for years. And we still out here trying to make excuses. Well, I'm trying to make this tree work because, we got little trees and you miserable in a relationship just because you got kids with a person. Who does that? Who does that? I don't know about y'all, man. And listen, I've been saying this for forever. And that's one thing that I can say about me. I refuse to settle. I refuse to settle. I refuse to settle. And I say it all the time because I'm like, listen, I will be by myself forever before I be out here settling. It'll just be me and God and Christ alone. Yes, it will. Because I ain't settling for nothing. If I don't see no fruit from you, you can't. And I ain't talking about it. It has to be financially all the time, right? But if this person don't even want to talk to you, you can't even be in the same room with the person, right? We gotta walk around each other and we don't even speak. I can't even have a conversation without you getting mad. And I can't express myself. I can't be who I am with you. And a lot of us, man, we're not even trying to really, pay attention to who the person was. We just saw something. Oh, I saw you, King, and you just look good. And you had them good old you had that blowout, or you had that fro or the cornrows. You had everything that I wanted. I seen you with the Versace glasses on. I seen you with the Gucci on, and I seen you with this on. Like, all of these things attract you and they make you look good. But some of them even stink. You get close enough, some of them stink. They got nasty attitudes, and you trying to fix them. You can't fix them attitudes. They got some real deep issues, and some of them, they grow deep. They not even realizing that you called to them, right? And some of us, we done fell in love with the assignment. That's a whole nother beast, y'all. We done fell in love with the assignment instead of falling in love with purpose. This ain't your purpose, partner. This was a person that you was supposed to help grow, teach them one thing, and move along. But no, not you. Not you. You done fell in love with the tall, dark, and handsome. You done fell in love with the big booty. You done fell in love with the nice smile and the cute face and the tiny waist. I'm just saying. You done fell in love with all of that and the got. Listen, y'all, I'm telling you, it is real out here in these streets, man. It is so real out here in these streets, man. We cannot be so caught up. We cannot get so caught up, y'all. Like, we can't. We cannot get so caught up in the looks. We cannot get so caught up in the things that's not of this world. We can't. If it's not lining up with what God has called for us to even receive, which is love. 1 Corinthians 13. Check it out. Read it. Let that thing marinate in your heart. Ask God, help me to be able to understand what love is. Help me to be able to even receive the love that you have for me. Because I don't want it to just be looks. And I ain't telling you that you got to have an ugly person. I ain't saying it at all. I'm saying you got to be attracted to them, right? Because, yeah, you got to be attracted to them. You see them, right? You want to be able to wake up to a person and and that's what it is, right? But, you want to be married too. I don't know about y'all, but listen, I know for me, I don't want to be a baby mama. And if you already a baby mama, that's cool, right? That's cool because you got to live and learn though, right? You don't want to be another baby mama. You want to be a wife now. You see what I'm saying? It's time for you to elevate yourself, sis. It's time for you to see yourself as a wife. You see what I'm saying? It takes two to tango. That man ain't just coming up in you and you having babies. I'm just saying, you allowed it. You knew what was going on. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy how we do not take accountability for our actions. And then we get up in all of this mess and we know that ain't no fruit that's there. We just keep on trying. And then we got a nerve to say God put us together. God ain't put you together with that demon. Do you know the enemy hears you? The enemy learns what your type is. The type of men. Sometimes we need to pay attention to the type of men that we like. Sometimes we need to pay attention to the type of women that we like. Maybe God's calling you to do something different. You keep choosing the wrong women. You keep choosing the same type of women. You keep choosing the same type of men. And God's been trying to get you to do internal work, but you ain't trying to do it because it looked good. Man, listen, but you got the authority. You got the power. You got the power to walk away. You got the power to choose. And that's what God is calling us to do. He wants us to choose. And we got to choose wisely. And we got to choose according to his word. If we don't choose according to his word, listen, we're not gonna be able to fulfill what it is that God has called us to fulfill, which is the full purpose. Like there is a such thing as a purpose partner. There is a such thing as the perfect person for you. It is. But because you're settling and because you choose to ignore all of the signs and because you decided to stay with a fruitless tree, right? You get, I mean, you basically you get what you choose. You choose what you get. And my thing is at the end of the day, I don't know about y'all, but I ain't trying to be miserable for the rest of my life. Listen, it's not an option. So I ain't doing it. I'm just saying, man, listen, this thing blessed me this week, y'all. And I'm telling you, it just really, really blessed me. I just want to encourage y'all. You know, I know the election was this week. Um, and I know that, you know, a lot of times, right, we can get emotional. And I feel like it's okay for you to get emotional, right? I think we all could actually say, hey, you know, I do kind of feel some type of way about this thing. But listen, if you are a true believer, right, this is where, you know, I want to encourage you is that everything works together for the good of those who love him. And if you really, really love God and you are called by him, right, then you have nothing to worry about. Like, I understand that the human side of us, right, sees things. And goes right back to the fig tree, right? Is that just because it looks one way doesn't mean that that's what it is, right? I truly believe that God allowed this, right? Because nothing goes on without God's yes. Nothing goes on without God's yes. I may not understand it. We may not understand it, right? But we got to trust that God knows exactly what he's doing. We got to trust that God has a bigger purpose for this thing, that his plan is to prosper us, not to harm us, right? Like God's not going to put us in real danger. You get what I'm saying? Like I just know that I trust him. And that's all I can say. I just know that I trust him. Like we cannot be so caught up in the things of this world because what we do have to understand is that we are foreigners even in this land. Like this right here is so temporary. This is temporary. All of this is going to fade. We all got an expiration date. We all got an expiration date, right? And at the end of the day, God wants to know, what have you done? What have you done on this earth? Let me see your fruit, or will you be like the fig tree and not have anything, just leaves? Y'all, I don't know about y'all. I don't want just leaves. I want fruit on my tree, and I'm going to get me some fruit up on this tree because I want my person too to be able to say, dang, this fruit tastes so good. It's nice and sweet. Wow. And it's fulfilling. And they just keep coming back and coming back and coming back. And then I can go to his tree, right? And I can be able to eat from his. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just right. This thing tastes good. You see what I'm saying? We're supposed to be able to eat from each other's tree, but if we can't really begin to even take the time, right, to get to know and to get up and close and personal with this thing emotionally, mentally, spiritually, right? Then the rest of it, the physical part, it ain't gonna matter because it's gonna be in vain because there's no substance that's there. There's nothing that's keeping you there. There's nothing that's nurturing you. There's nothing that's helping you grow. It's crazy, man. But this is the way life is sometimes, right? It begins to show us exactly what we need to see. And Jesus saw it up close, man. He looked at this thing and he cursed it. He cursed it. And so I don't know about y'all, man, but listen, if you ain't fruitful and you around me and you ain't got no fruit on your tree, baby, peace. Peace. But this is what we do, right? We hold each other accountable. And we're constantly, this is what we got to do. We got to hold each other accountable. We grow to glow, right? And I know I said some things, right? Because I was talking about, you know, the physical, right? I talked about all of those things. But if we really, truly, truly trust God, right, for our partner, we have to trust that God is going to give us the package that we need. We have to trust that he's going to do it. And this person, you know, that God has for you, right, is your purpose partner. A lot of us, man, we get so caught up in the physical. We can't get so caught up in the physical. This is what the enemy wants. The enemy wants the vision. He does not want you to fulfill purpose. And if he can distract you with a partner that has no fruit and connect you to people who do not have no fruit, guess what? You're going to be miserable. You're going to be so distracted and involved in that, right? You're going to be so focused on trying to fix them and trying to bear and get fruit for them that you're going to miss out on the purpose and fulfilling it. And that is what the enemy wants. He wants to steal, kill, and destroy your purpose. He wants to steal, kill, and destroy what it is that God has called you to do on this, in this earth, on this earth, while you are here, because being here is temporary. This is not long term, y'all. We don't have the time that we think that we have. It is time for us to rise up. It's time for us to take our rightful places. It is time for us to do the things that God has called us to do. I don't know about y'all. Listen, I'm trying my hardest to do the things that God has called me to do, even when they are uncomfortable. This is a part of the growth. This is a part of the tree. This is a part of how I get the fruit, how I obtain the fruit, and then I can be able to give it. Right. And so this is what I'm talking about, y'all. We got to grow to glow. This is what we do here at the Glow Up Biz. So, y'all, I see y'all next week. I love y'all so, so much. Thank y'all so much for always supporting and always just being here, and just getting on here, man, live, and just being able to talk with me, because this is what we do, right? I'm your pusher, I'm your coach, I'm all of that in one. And this is what we do, man. We grow to glow. So I see y'all next week. Bye.